Hello, and if you read the title, yes, I am finally going to make my very first review. And this one's going to be a holiday special. Well, Halloween special, that is. And I am going to be reviewing this holiday special, which is a TV miniseries, well, a TV movie, called The Halloween Tree. And it's based on a book called, well, the same name, The Halloween Tree. It was written in 1972, while the TV movie I got was made in 1993. Yep. So, I will read on. Actually, it's by Ray Bradbury, the same guy who did Fahrenheit 451, The Martian Chronicles, and Something Wicked This Way Comes, which also had a movie adaptation as well. Something Wicked This Way Comes. So, the reason it got a TV movie, there's a reason for this one. So, his novel was as a way to teach children about the history and culture origins of Halloween. So, yeah, Hanna-Barbera produced the film in 1993. So, the reason, Ray Bradbury's motivation is that he was inspired to create a story after feeling disappointment with the 1966 television special It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. He felt the special offered a lackluster depiction of Halloween that did not explore its rich history and deeper meaning. Well, he was kind of upset that there's no Great Pumpkin to show up. So he wanted to create a more educational and meaningful Halloween story for children. It was originally meant to be with Chuck Jones in 1967, but the project, however, was canceled when MGM shut down its animation department in 1970. So instead of abandoning the project, he expanded his script into the 1972 novel, The Halloween Tree. So decades later, Hanna-Barbera revived Bradbury's version of an animated special. Yeah! Lucky, huh? So, enough of that. Let's get on to the review. So, it starts off in a small town. There are kids. There's Tom, who's dressing like a skeleton, Jenny as a witch, Ralph as a mummy, and Wally as a monster. They all got together and they realize their friend is missing, Pip. So Pip, they say when he was born, all the soda pop bottles would fizzle. And Pip, who would yell louder, sing better, and eat popcorn. Lots of it. So they had to check to see what's going on, and there's no decorations around Halloween. So it's like he's never missed Halloween, like, forever. So he went to an ambulance to go to the hospital. And it turns out he has what's called appendicitis. I think you could die from that. So Tom suggests to visit Pip at the hospital. They had to go to the shortcut to the forest. But then they saw what looks like Pip. They thought it might be a prank, but he still kept going and going, so they had to go after him in the forest. And all the trees had faces. There was like they were kind of like the forest from Snow White in a way. Although one of the branches tried to grab Ralph, but he managed to break free. And so they found Pip, who went to what looks like a haunted house. So when they got there, they had to go inside and thinking he might be going there trick-or-treating. So when they went onto the steps, when they step on it, it's like the spooky sound from a pipe organ. Although they had to knock on the door, it has a Marley knock, like Jacob Marley from A Christmas Carol with a face on the door kind of way, to knock on it. And when they did the knocking, the wind blew like a hurricane and it blew them inside, and then the door slammed. And that's when they meet Mr. Mountshroud. In that film, he's voiced by Spock from Star Trek, Leonard Nimoy himself. So that's Mr. Mountshroud. Sorry if it's blurry still. Although he was not happy the kids are inside. He's like, "Why did you disrupt me and my business?" Well, although they said, trick or treat, they looked into his pocket watch. He's like, "I don't have time for this." Although he acts all very like a critic, and he's like, and you, why are you in a skeleton? And you a mummy, a witch, monster? Do any of you all know what they represent, or what reasons? Nothing. No, I don't have time for this. Like, hey, dude, kids don't know much. They probably didn't learn anything from history. Although he suggested him to get out because he had an appointment to keep up. Although while he fell over in a chair, it turns out Pip was behind it. And Pip, he's a ghost! Yeah, he's a ghost. Although, the kids were surprised to see him as a ghost. Although Maltron, he was like, ah, there you are! Stop! We have an appointment. Important appointment, I mean. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I meant. Although, Pip ran as he could, and the kids go after him, and when they saw there was a tree with so many, loads of pumpkins, with jack-o'-lantern faces. Although, Tom would describe it as a pumpkin tree, and Maltron tells him, no! It is the Halloween tree! So, in the Halloween tree, it's called a Halloween tree, and it turns out, there are some ghosts inside, the spirits of the deceased inside of all the pumpkins. In each pumpkin. The different faces, noses are weird, and one of them makes it like, oh! Look, I actually kind of thought it was funny with all them look like scary looking. One is like, oh! Like, what am I here again? Or, get me out of here! Like that, it just looks like it. Although Pip had to climb all the way to the tree, and he had to get his pumpkin, and it has his face. It looks exactly like Pip's face. Yeah, and Maltron demands him to not get too further. And when Pip grabbed the pumpkin, Maltron's like, you had your fun, boy. Now put it back. Although he did not, and Pip jumped into the pile of leaves, and that's when the kids try to dig him out of here, to find him. Maltron had no time for this, and he just used a spell to blast him into the wind like a hurricane. And he flew, and Maltron was not happy. Those kids just makes a wasted appointment. Although they begged him to get him back, but he said it might take time, and he probably went to an undiscovered country. Although it might take like a while to get him back or whatever. Although the kids begged him to take them with him to get Pip. You think they probably help enough, and how they lack the reason for Halloween, and they thought, wait a minute. It could take a day to get to him. Take longer. So he decided to take the kids along while trying to catch Pip. He also could teach them the origins of Halloween. So yeah, he decided to bring the kids along to go get Pip. And first they had to make a kite, a giant kite, so they can follow Pip. So they went to the barn with all the posters of animals, like from the circus. And they were alive. They come out of the poster. Well, the posters come out and form into a giant kite for them. That's bigger than a glider and as big as a plane, it seems. So they all hop on, and then they flew off. So they went to go after Pip, still going through that wind, a dust of wind. And then when they go after him, they went time traveling. So yeah, there's some time travel. So yeah, I guess you could say the Halloween tree is like, it's like the Christmas Carol, but on Halloween. That's basically what the Halloween tree is, in a way. So, the first stop they went to go after Pip is 4,000 years in Egypt. Yeah, they landed in Egypt, and the kids, they see all the spirits of the deceased walking around the neighborhood. And there were some foods and drinks out on the porch. Although Maltron tells them they're preferred to be called spirits. So yeah, I had to write down some facts. So in 4,000 years ago, the ancient Egyptians offered food to both gods and spirits, believing the deceased needed sustenance in the afterlife. So yeah, real food, drink, and other goods like clothing and furniture were placed in tombs. Even offering tables were used to present food to the deceased. So yeah, as Wally would describe it, like, it's a good old-fashioned trick-or-treating. So I guess you could say that's where trick-or-treating came from, huh? Something related from Egypt. placing foods and clothing and some goods for the deceased out on the porch. Although Pip was gonna have a meal with one of the spirits, yeah, they found him and he got freaked out and he ran inside of one of the buildings. In the house, with the Egyptian family were having dinner with their deceased grandpa who's been dead 600 years or so. So, turns out, I had to look it up, and turns out it was called the Wag Festival, a Festival of the Dead. It was an ancient Egyptian celebration in early August, dedicated to the god Osiris and honoring the deceased. Yeah. People would make offerings such as food and drink to their ancestors and place small boats in the water to aid the spirits of the dead on their journey to the afterlife of Aru. A-A-R-U. Yeah. It's basically like the Egyptian heaven, but in the underworld, kind of like in Greek mythology with the Elysian Fields. So, I'll probably get to that, make a part 2 for this review, so I don't want to make it longer than 15 minutes, so plus I got some other stuff to do, so I'll make a part 2 for you guys, and I'll see you guys later.